Thank you so much, Donna, for sharing your experience of my food and mood program. I really, really appreciate it. What were the things that you were struggling with that you were wanting help with that we worked on?
In particular, I had been food binging at night, and I just didn't really know what it was about. I just was like on autopilot, and I wanted to break this weird cycle that I was in, that I've been in for a while. Didn't really know what was going on.
And then what would you say were and I know this could be like a really long answer, but like what would be the answer that you want to share of like what were the tools and how did we work with your binging and your food and mood?
First, well, the structure of the app, I guess, is I'm a video listener. So more than anything, I used listening to the app as I was driving for 45 minutes into my work. And that way I began to understand what your system was, because I really didn't understand what it was all about at the beginning. And I never and so that helped me start understanding the mood before the food. And each of the categories was really valuable to me, and still is. I still listen if I want to do a little update on a relationship or something. I'm still going to listen to that. So then, so it was very instructive. I knew that I was doing kind of self-sabotage, it was all emotional eating. I also found out how much stress I was under, from mainly from my personal life and my work life and my family, and a lot of stress. So then, by moving into the food reset, which is super powerful for me, that that and I was able to respond fairly quickly. And it was powerful just how I felt physically, and light bulbs started going off.
Nice. So you feel like if I were to summarize, you got some really good useful tools in the mood part to deal with stress and to deal with the emotional component before we did the food stuff, which was powerful. And you're
Yes.
welcome. I know that you're still, there are definitely a lot of tools in my program and a lot of help, and yet it doesn't get rid of, a lot of the struggles of life. And so if I know that you are still struggling to some degree, and you're more than welcome to share that if you'd like. I think it's also very candid and real, that it's not
Hmm.
like, it's not a magic pill. It doesn't just make everything 100% better. So if you'd like to, at least that's what I saw, was that maybe you're hesitating in sharing some of that, and if, you're welcome to if you'd like to.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of things that I learned about myself and my food eating patterns. Like, for example, sugar. I don't crave it as much as I crave savory. But when I do crave it, I just need like something little, in comparison to other people. And then the whole wheat topic, which I've never tried or approached in my life. And I have to keep reminding myself that it's really about body irritation. Is that the right word? Yeah.
Inflammation,
Inflammation. Thank you.
which is body irritation.
Yeah.
I like the rename.
So even though I do have my struggles still, I'm way cleaner in everything I eat. Even though and I also go like this. However, I also never really go beyond 5 pounds. I'm staying in this little boundary area, and I know that I have the ability to bounce back quickly whenever I do, get off.
No.
Yeah.
Yay, that makes
I've
me so
also learned
happy.
about alcohol also, that I don't need to, if I have a glass of wine, that's fine. And one is my magic number. And that's totally good, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really, after all my years of, restricting food, and I really find that never say never and having exceptions is really relieves a lot of the tension and the pressure and then the self-sabotage. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
glad that you're also practicing and enjoying the roller coaster without the, crazy, yeah,
Yeah.
the more realistic rideable roller coaster.
Yeah.
Would you share, because we did the 4-month program and you got a lot out of what you were looking for, and then would you share why you extended and why you continued to work with me, if you're open to sharing a little bit about that?
Yeah. Mainly, I think it mainly had to do with relationship issues, and I wasn't resolved, and still confused. And as we learned, they're all kind of tied in. The food and the mood is all sort of tied into your overall state of being and decision making and how you feel about yourself. So that's why.
Cool. Is there anything else you would like to share? And then also, if you want to, you came up with this really great list of when I asked you kind of what did you get from my program? Do you need to
Yeah.
go be with your grandkid for a
Nope,
second?
she's good.
Okay.
She's okay.
If there's anything else you'd like to add, or if you also want to read through this list, it's a powerful list.
Yeah. One thing I think now that we're finished working together for this time period, there's so many powerful messages that I still use every day. One of the biggest ones is 50-50. Life's 50% good, 50% not so good or hard. And I've passed that on to a bunch of people because my dad was always said 70-30. Like you got to give 70-30, you got to give 70 and receive 30. But 50-50, it puts life in perspective of really how many challenges we really have. And then when it's good, it's good. So that I've been left with certain messages that I think about a lot. Also, this home-based message, or like when you shared with me your personal strategy for yourself, that you don't even have to think about certain eating issues because you've been doing it for so long, and you have this home base. What do I call it? I
I think it's
call it
called baseline,
baseline. Yeah,
but home base is even better actually.
home. Like if
Very
in
well thought.
tennis or whatever, you go back to home
Yeah,
position in the court.
yeah.
I haven't achieved that yet, but it's completely in my mind, and that's where I want to be. And when I'm at the gym,
Nice,
I'm thinking about it, and I'm looking at the people around me, and I think about it a lot.
nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Um, yeah. He's going to sleep.
Beautiful.
Oh, and then the whole idea that you constantly challenge me on, you were always playing the devil's advocate, sort of. And so this idea of it still comes into my mind. Well, what if I don't have a rule? Because I'm a rule person. What if I don't have that rule? And that's super cool.
I'm glad you brought up
Very
the rule piece
powerful.
because I remember that being, I think it was in our last session, you were saying like, you've given, I'm not quoting you, but you said something like, you've made me question all my rules and realize how much my rules were affecting me. And now like you've given me the permission to not have rules, or at least question, what if I don't have this rule? So yeah, it's a powerful thing when we have this, unconscious rule set that's like causing us a lot of suffering. We start realizing, oh, wait a minute, I have this rule in my head. Is it serving me? I know that was a
Yeah.
lot of, yeah,
Now it's so many. I have so many, and I've operated that way for who knows, 40
yeah,
years for sure, even into childhood.
yeah.
So yeah, I've set some of those rules from childhood. And so to sort of like take this whole other perspective, it's interesting for sure.
Yeah, if I can put some words onto interesting, it relieves a lot of the stress, the emotional stress, right?
It's like I have to do this, I have to do that. And oh, and then also have to, should,
Catching yourself.
I catch myself and then I change and say choose to. Incredibly powerful. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Cool.
Hmm.
Cool. Amazing.
Let me see what else I got here. Oh, also, this whole concept of being the person that I want to be with. What a strange and odd concept. So I've been using that probably in the last month. I think about it probably 3 or 4 times a week. Like when I feel anxious, then I think, well, what would I want that person? What would I expect or need from that person? And then I kind of come up with a new way.
Oh, yes. Hell yeah. Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So you're using those high quality questions to reframe it.
Uh-oh. She's struggling to go to sleep. I could go put her in the bed real quick.
Yeah, I'll pause it. Go for it.
Okay.
Grandbaby's asleep or
Hey.
or going to sleep.
And then I also use this phrase, do I have your permission to, with my son, who's mentally ill. And it was so powerful. He responded to it immediately. It was almost like there was like a pause and a silence whenever I said it. Like, do I have your permission to go to this restaurant right now? And then you could tell that he was processing the information and he always responded positively. So
Yeah.
I never ever would have said that to him.
I'm so happy that that's one of the pieces out of the relationship module, but that I'm so happy to hear that that's still positively impacting your relationship with your son.
Hmm. And I suppose it could work for and with anyone, but he's the only one I've tried that on.
Yeah. Yeah, it does work on anyone.
And then I would also say that I am more tuned in. I'm more quickly tuned in to when I have tension in my body. Like before I would notice it, but now I notice it quicker. And I know that I have to listen, like if my stomach is going tense, if my heart's beating, it's mainly tension in my abdominal area, then I know that I have to do something to break that.
So you're more tuned in, more connected to your body. You're
Yes,
listening, responding, and
especially when it has to do with relationship. Yeah.
so like tracking feelings in your body. It's feelings in
Yes.
relationships.
Yeah, because sometimes you're like, well, Donna, well, how do you feel? How's your body feel? And I couldn't even tell you. I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't really know.
Yeah. How's the relationship with your body going around food? Are you listening to your body with food?
Yes, I'm listening more when I'm hungry, like especially in the mornings. I don't, I'm not eating breakfast like a sit down breakfast now, but I want to go that direction just because as I'm eating in the mornings, like, banana an hour later, walnuts, something like that. I feel like I'd be functioning better if I go to a breakfast. So with, yeah.
Yeah, and sit down and allow your body to rest and digest.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Also, I also have noticed, which is really strange because it's kind of new. If I don't eat salad, if I like it, that's my big focus to eat vegetables, like a variety of them. If I don't do that, I don't feel good, like the next day.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that's powerful.
Yeah, that's
Might seem
great.
obvious to a whole lot of people, but not to me.
Until we really pay attention and we really start tracking, connecting the dots, I would say
Hmm.
most of us don't have that. So that's awesome that you're still connecting the dots, still paying attention, still noticing what
Hmm.
happened yesterday, how am I feeling today, what are the patterns. It's amazing. I'm very happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
My
stopped coaching
my.
months ago. I'm not sure how many months ago it's been, but it's been months. So
Hmm.
it's very sweet to be with you and have, a gap of time and hear that you're still working on these things and they're still
I
part of
really
your
am.
tool
Yeah,
belt.
it's not quick for me. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's a, yeah, my whole idea is like, how can I give you tools to keep investing in this relationship? Because it's not, I think diet culture has us think, okay, we do this once off and then we go back to life. But it's, at least my approach is way more about, okay, well, here's a whole bunch of tools, which ones work
Hmm.
for you, and then
Right.
keep them in your tool belt and keep using them, right? It's a lifestyle shift. So
Hmm.
I'm so stoked to hear that you're still using all these tools.
And I
Yeah.
will continue. Yeah. And I still know that I have all these other ones that I can use, all printouts that I haven't really taken advantage of. So I have that all in my back pocket.
Yeah, and yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, so for those of you who are watching this, all my clients, they get forever access to all my app content and all the worksheets and the journals, and so that's what Donna's referring to in the video content, the worksheets and stuff. Yeah, I'm glad you're still using them. That's great to hear. Is there any last thing you wanna, if somebody's thinking about investing in their relationship to food and their mood, is there anything you wanna tell someone who's watching this video and considering working with me?
The overriding wonderfulness of your program is you. And
Mm.
I've felt an instant connection with you and the way that we communicate together. Like I understand your form of communication and the way that you express yourself. And and each of us is unique, but I'm sure that that applies to a majority of the population that is interested in your program. You're so caring and astute, and I would encourage anyone to work with you. Anyone.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Donna.
Yeah. That's
Thank
how
you.
I,
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
you're welcome.